everyone, welcome back. You ready to jump into another deep dive?
Absolutely. Always excited to dig into some history.
Well, today we're heading to East Africa to explore the Karagwe Kingdom.
Fascinating choice. Their impact on the region's history is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I was going through the research you sent over, and honestly, I was blown away.
I know, right? There's so much more to them than just a brief mention in a textbook.
Exactly. So, to get us started, we're talking present-day Tanzania, right?
Yep, northwestern Tanzania. That's where the Karagwe Kingdom really made its mark.
Okay, so let's trace their journey. How did they begin? How did they rise to power? And what ultimately caused their decline?
Those are the big questions, aren't they?
For sure. And you mentioned something about a blend of Bantu and Chwezi cultures. That already has me intrigued.
Yeah, that blend is super important. It's what makes the Karagwe Kingdom so unique. But to really get it, we need to start with the Bantu people.
Okay, take it away.
So between the 5th and 10th centuries, the Bantu people migrated to the Karagwe region. And they brought their agricultural knowledge with them. Think millet, sorghum, yams.
Really laying the foundation for the kingdom's future.
Exactly. They were the pioneers, setting the stage for everything that followed.
But hold on. Their journey wasn't exactly a straight line, was it? Didn't they encounter another culture along the way?
You're right, they did. During their migrations, they ran into the Chwezi culture. And here's the fascinating part. They eventually returned to Karagwe. But they didn't come back empty-handed.
Oh, what did they bring back? Souvenirs?
Well, sort of. They brought back Chwezi customs and practices. They integrated them into their own culture. It shows how open they were to new ideas.
So it's like they absorbed the best of both worlds and created something totally new.
Exactly. They weren't afraid to adapt and learn.
That's pretty impressive. But this return to Karagwe, it wasn't just random, right? There had to be a leader.
Right again. This is where Ruhinda comes in. He was a Bakwizi prince, and he's the one who established the Hinda dynasty in the 16th century. A real turning point for the kingdom.
Okay, wait a minute. We've got Bantu people migrating, then they encounter the Chwezi, and then a Bakwizi prince establishes a dynasty in Karagwe.
It's all connected.
I'm trying to keep up.
It's like a historical puzzle, right?
It is. So how did this Hinda dynasty actually gain control? Was it through military force, smart strategizing, or maybe a bit of both?
That's the million-dollar question, and historians are still debating it today. Some say it was their military strength, others point to their clever administration, and then there's the theory about strategic alliances, sealed with cattle, no less.
Wow, cattle is a diplomatic tool. That's a new one. So what we know for sure is that Ruhinda sets up his capital at Bwehang.
A strategic move, for sure.
And then he does something pretty bold. He sends out his sons to establish sub-dynasties, expanding the reach of the Hinda dynasty.
You got it. It's like he's creating this network of power with himself at the center.
And each son was given those royal regalia, right? The spears, drums, shields.
Absolutely. Those weren't just for show. They were symbols of authority, representing the power of the state.
Okay, so we're not just talking about one unified kingdom, but this complex web of power, all stemming from the Hinda dynasty.
It's a fascinating setup. And as we'll see, it had its pros and cons.
Uh-oh, I sense some drama coming. But before we get into all of that, I'm curious about the inner workings of the kingdom. What was life like for everyday people in Karagwe?
It's easy to get caught up in the big picture, the kings and the conquests.
Right, the drama.
But daily life, that's where it gets really interesting. Karagwe had a very intricate system for keeping everything running smoothly.
I like that, a well-oiled machine. So from what I've read, at the top you had the Omukama.
Exactly. He's the king, the head honcho.
Yeah.
The one calling the shots. And succession, well, that was hereditary. Passed down through the male line.
Keeping it in the family. Makes sense. But tell me about those royal regalia. The spears, drums, shields. They must have been more than just decorations, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think of them as powerful symbols of authority, the real deal. They represented the might of the state. But here's the thing. The Karagwe kingdom wasn't just about the king ruling from up high. They had this really clever clan system woven into their administration.
Ah, the clan system. I was wondering when we get to that. From what I gathered, each clan had a leader, the Muharambwa, and they had a ton of responsibility.
Yeah, the Muharambwa, think of them as a local governor. They handled everything from taxes to religious ceremonies, even settling disputes.
So like a mini government. Each one responsible for keeping their own little part of the kingdom running smoothly.
Exactly. It's like a network of mini governments all working together.
So it's kind of a decentralized system then, power spread out among the clans.
You got it. And to make things even more organized, they grouped these clans into 8 chiefdoms. almost like provinces within the kingdom.
Oh, right. And those sons of Ruhinda, the ones we talked about earlier, they were appointed as chiefs of these regions, right?
Exactly. Each one overseeing a group of clans.
So we've got the Omukama at the top, then the chiefdoms run by his sons, and then the clan system with the Muharambwa keeping things in order locally.
It's a pretty sophisticated hierarchy, a balance between central authority and local control.
I'm impressed. Okay, so let's dive into the social side of things. Who were the different groups within Karagwe society?
Well, you had your two main social classes. The Bahima, they were the pastoralists, the herders. And then the Banyambo, they were the farmers.
Classic division of labor, some tending to the herds, others working the land.
That's how it worked. The Bahima provided meat, milk, hides. The Banyambo grew the crops, kept everyone fed and clothed.
It makes sense, but where does the clan system fit into all of this? Was it just about politics?
Not at all. The clan system was the heart of social life. It was about belonging, identity, sharing a common ancestry.
A sense of community?
Exactly. Each clan had its own totem, a symbol representing their lineage. And the Muharambwa, well, besides being the political leader, they also had a spiritual role. They were in charge of the religious functions.
I love how these ancient societies blended the practical and spiritual. It's like it was all connected for them.
It was. And speaking of spiritual matters, the people of Karagwe, they believed in a supreme being, Ruhinda, the creator. And they also honored their ancestral spirits.
Believing that they could influence their lives?
You got it. They built shrines, made sacrifices. Religion was a big part of their lives.
It seems to be a common thread in a lot of ancient cultures.
It definitely is. But let's not forget, these were real people, not just figures in a history book.
Right.
They worked hard, but they also knew how to have fun.
Right. I read that they loved to celebrate birthdays, marriages, you name it.
Any excuse for a party. And with all those lakes and rivers, swimming was a favorite pastime too. They had a good balance, work hard, play hard. It reminds us that even in ancient times, people had rich lives filled with traditions, beliefs, and joy.
I love that perspective. But we can't forget about the economy. How did the Karagwe kingdom keep things running financially?
Well, remember our Bahima and Banyambo. They were the economic backbone. The Banyambo produced a variety of crops, a reliable food supply, And the Bahima, they provided livestock and dairy products.
Okay, so they had the basics covered. But I have to ask, were they just focused on producing for themselves? Or were they trading with other societies?
They were definitely trading. They had connections with their neighbors, kingdoms like Rwanda and Bunyoro, ivory, iron products.
Yeah.
Those were some of the goods they exchanged.
Trade. It's the key to growth and prosperity.
Right. But the Karagwe kingdom had something special going for them. They controlled a key long-distance trade route leading to Buganda.
Wait, hold on. Control of a major trade route. That's huge.
It was. Think of it like holding the keys to a treasure chest. That gave them serious economic clout.
Smart move. Okay, so we've got agriculture, we've got trade. Anything else? What about other industries?
Oh, they were a resourceful bunch. Fishing, hunting, ironworking, mining. They did it all. Even pottery and weaving.
Wow, a truly diversified economy.
They didn't put all their eggs in one basket, that's for sure.
So let's recap. We've got a kingdom with a well-organized society, a vibrant culture, a diverse economy, and control over a major trade route. They seem unstoppable. But as we all know, even the mightiest empires can fall. What happened? What led to the decline of the Karagwe kingdom?
That's the big question, isn't it? It all comes down to understanding how even the strongest systems can become vulnerable over time. Let's unpack some of those factors that contributed to their downfall. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Lay it on me. What were the chinks in the armor? What brought down this seemingly unstoppable kingdom?
Well, if you think back to the way the kingdom was set up, remember how it was all divided into those chiefdoms?
Yeah, with the son of the Omukama ruling each one.
Right. That decentralized structure, it had its perks, especially in the early days, more local control, But as the kingdom grew, it became a real liability. Imagine trying to manage this giant, sprawling territory back then.
Yeah, not easy keeping everyone on the same page, making sure all those chiefs stayed loyal.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, whenever a strong leader died, like Ruhinda, it often created a power vacuum. Not all his successors were as capable. Some were weak, some were just bad rulers. That kind of instability at the top, it trickles down, it affects everything.
It's like that saying, when the cat's away,
the mice will play.
Right.
And those semi-independent Hinda sub-dynasties, well, they saw their chance. They had their own ambitions, their own rivalries. And that's when things started to get really messy.
Internal conflicts, power struggles.
Exactly. Sometimes even full-blown civil wars. It drained their resources, weakened the kingdom from the inside out, and when a kingdom's divided against itself.
It's ripe for the picking. Did they have any enemies waiting in the wings to take advantage of the situation?
As a matter of fact, they did. The neighboring kingdom of Bunyoro, they saw their chance and launched a series of raids, particularly around 1770. Those attacks really took a toll, both militarily and economically. Trade was disrupted, things became unstable.
It's like a 1-2 punch, right? Internal problems weakening them, and then external forces coming in to deliver the knockout blow.
It's often how it goes, unfortunately. But there's more to the story. We can't forget about the impact of disease. Epidemics swept through the kingdom. Malaria, smallpox, they decimated the population. People were dying left and right. It weakened their defenses, made them even more susceptible to those outside threats.
Wow, so it's not just politics. It's nature taking its toll.
Right. And if that wasn't enough, they also faced environmental challenges. Droughts, for example, led to famine, added to the instability. It was like everything was conspiring against them.
It's really tragic when you think about it. All those factors coming together to bring down this once great kingdom.
It is. But, it also speaks to their resilience, their ability to adapt. They managed to hold on for quite a while, despite all the challenges they faced. But in the end, it was just too much.
It's a reminder that even the strongest empires can crumble. Makes you wonder, what if things had gone differently? What if they'd managed to stay united? What if those epidemics hadn't happened? Would the Karagwe kingdom still be around today?
It's always tempting to play the what-if game with history. But the truth is, we can't change the past. All we could do is learn from it. And the story of the Karagwe kingdom, it's full of lessons about the nature of power, the importance of unity, the impact of events we can't control.
So well said. We've covered a lot of ground today. From their humble beginnings to their rise to power and their eventual decline, it's been quite a journey.
It has. And what fascinates me is that even though the kingdom is gone, its legacy lives on. In the culture, in the memories of the people who live there today, it's a reminder that history isn't just something that happened in the past. It's still shaping our world today.
So true. Well, to our listeners, if you found this deep dive as captivating as we did, don't stop here. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of history. Until next time, thanks for joining us.